Discuss of our learning. Should be a panacea and a for Shlema for everyone that needs. So we're on Daf Kaf Beis on the top. In the parak, it says Berishayna. Originally, Kol mi shereitz alitrei mesimizbeya Torah. Anyone that wanted to do the Chum Sadesh, that was the first service in the temple, first service of the day. You would go up to the altar, walk up the ramp with a shovel, and you would take the ashes from the coals, and you would put it down on the on the side of the altar, and it would get absorbed, like we learned yesterday. It would get absorbed into the ground. So whoever wanted to do that would go do it. Tairim would go and do it. That meant that there was no lottery for it. Whoever came first would do it. However, when a lot of people started to come, so then they had to do some sort of system. How are they going to choose who's going to be the one to do it? So Ratzin Vailam Bekevish, they would do a race. They would run up the ramp. Yeah, I don't know what it means. I think the pshat is whoever reached the Arba Amas first, the measurement of 4 Amas first, he won. And he would do it. Yeah, it can't be that he made it to 4 Amas. He was 4 Amas ahead, because then what if he wasn't 4 Amas ahead? It must be whoever reached the level of 4 Amas from the top of the altar. The Gemara is going to discuss this a little bit. So then he won. Let's say it was a tie. Right? So they would put out fingers. It was it would look like rock, scissors, paper, but they were actually just putting out 2 fingers, and they would come around and count. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a chassid by the okay, catch a kayan. So these people, was it just the people that were in the tie that would do the hitzbiyu, or would it be everyone now does the hitzbiyu? I'm not sure. Mine Mitzian.
Wasn't this the lottery where after the first one, then everyone else got the next draw?
That was the second lot. That was the lottery after this. Yeah. So I think the one after this. So mine Mitzian. What fingers would they put out in the base of English? So it says Achus Ishtayin. 1 or 2 fingers. Bein Mitzian agudel b'mikdash, but you can't use your thumb. The Gemara is going to explain that you're able to move your thumb to the side, that it could, if in a crowded place, it can look like that's a different person, because the thumb is on the side. Maisa, there's a story. There were 2 people that it was a tie. They were running up, and it was a tie. That's really what it should be. The one of them, in order to win, pushed the other one. The nafal v'nishbar ragli, and he fell and he broke his foot. The Gemara doesn't tell us there was a worse story where someone pulled out a knife, but here we just have that he pushed him and he broke his foot. So Kivan Shiro Bezdin Shabel they Sakana, they saw this was becoming dangerous. They said that's it, no more. Now we're just going to do the lottery. More civil. Arba Payasais Hayusham, there were 4 different lotteries. Mazeh Payasrishan, this was the first one. The Gemara asks, Vami Karamai Taimalai Tekinale Rabbanan Paisa. Why didn't they come up with this solution right away? Why did they have to do this and then trial and error? They could have done a PS. We know they had the lotteries for the other things, right? The other things clearly had lotteries. So why by the Chuma Sadeshan did we have to try it one way? We saw it was dangerous, and then we had to fix it. The Gemara says like this. Originally they thought, well, this is a service that's done at night. Now, is it really at night? Well, it's the very early morning, which is still considered night. It's before dawn. So yeah. So kivan da avodas laila he leichashivalu v'leyasu. It wasn't so important to them because it was at night. They thought it wasn't a real avodah. So kivan the chazah the kasa, but then, in other words, the administration thought that no one's going to want to come. So they didn't institute these lotteries. But when they saw that people were coming, they said, so that's when they instituted it. Yeah, you don't know what the market's going to do, what people are going to appreciate.
I don't know. We usually look at the futures in the morning before.
Before the shit. Lahavdil, who would think fidget spinners were going to
Before the
sell?
market opens.
Oh. Yeah. So, one second. You're telling me that the administration thought that no one was going to be interested in this because it's something that's done at night. But we have another lottery for the burning of the limbs that didn't burn, Evarim Upedarim, that's also done at night, and they made a lottery for it. That's done in the evening. Right? The Gemara says, Seif Avoda the Yamamahi. It's done at night, but it's a continuation of the work that was done by day that people are going to take more serious because it was really a day job that extended into the night. Hainami Tchilas Avoda the Yamamahi. So what? You're telling me that it's part of the day service, but it just happens to be done at night. This also is part of the day service. It just happens to be done earlier. Damar Rabbi Yochanan, Kiddush Yadav l'Chumas Hadeshen l'Machrayin Tzarech l'Kaddish Gvar Kiddush Mitchilas Aveda. Yeah, if you wash your hands in the morning, when you wake up for the Shir, then it becomes daybreak. You have to wash again, because it's the morning. Yeah, from this Gemara, it seems not. It seems that if you wash your hands for the Chumas Hadeshen, you don't have to wash again in the morning when it becomes daybreak, because you already washed your hands mitchilas aveda, from the beginning of the service. That means from the Chumas Hadeshen. Mitchilas aveda, from the beginning of the service. That means that the Chumas Hadeshen, the taking off of the ashes, which was done very, very early, is the beginning of the aveda of the day. The Gemara says, it's not the beginning of, it's he washed his hands in the beginning for service, but not of the service of the day. It's a difference. He's not washing his hands for the day service. He's washed his hands in the morning for a service, not washing his hands of a service, of the service. Of the service would mean that this was part of the Avodah Hayom. The Gemara is saying we never said it's part of the Avodah Hayom. It's a separate Avodah. It's done specifically before the Yom. It's done at night. So what does it say, Avodah? It says Mitchila le Avodah. It's a separate service. But it's done at night. Ikadamri, those that say Mikara Savar Kim Deka Inashina le Yasu. Originally, they thought no one was going to show up because it's so difficult to overcome sleep. No one was going to show up. So given the chazad also the kasanam they sakana so rabbanan paisa. They saw that it's not so. People are coming, so they instituted the pious, the lottery.
It's the story of Daf.
Right, the story of the Daf. I give it a week. Okay, that's a real quote. One second, there's a problem here. Avarim and the limbs and the fats that were burnt at night. Over there also, it's hard to stay up late. Your eyes start drooping. It's hard to stay up. Why did they have to make a lottery for that? The same way that it's hard to wake up. It's hard to stay up late. The Gemara says no. Shani migna mimekam. Yeah, ask the teenagers. It's different going to bed than waking up. Yeah. So apparently it's easier to stay up late than it is to wake up early. So therefore, when it came to staying up late, they said, a lot of people are going to come. But to wake up early, they said, who's going to come to that early service? No one's going to show up. But then they saw that it was a mistake. What's the name?
Too soon. Yeah.
Daniel Shlomo. The professor had a grandson's bris yesterday. Daniel Shlomo was the name. So, no, it was yesterday. Yeah, that's why you were surprised I was asking the name.
Yeah.
Okay. So waking up early is different. Going to bed is different than waking up. Now the Gemara asks, I'm going to learn the question according to the Taisus Yeshanim. He asks, like the Gemara asks, "V'takanta lahach gisa havai, takanta lahagisa havai." You made a, you're saying that the decree was they made a takana because too many people are showing up. That's why they had to make the piyus. There were too many people. It looks like the other way. There weren't enough people showing up. They had to institute things to make it that more people should show up. Tanya was taught in a brisa. Misha zacha b'trumas hadeshen. The person that does the trumas hadeshen, yizke or zacha b'sidar maracha b'shnei gizreitzim. He also gets to bring up the wood to set up the fire again. You see, no one wanted to do it. No one was coming. They had to give them an extra treat to show up, an incentive. They had to incentivize this. So you're telling me that there were too many people. We're seeing from this that there weren't enough people. Amar Ravashi shtei takanas hava. Ravashi says there's two takanas. Mikara sava layasu. Originally thought no one's going to show up. It's early in the morning. Kiven the chazad the kasu vasanam de sakana kinale paisa. They saw it's not so. A lot of people are up early. People are going to come. And then they had to make a lottery. Even the Tkinale Paisa, but once they made a lottery, Layasu, then people stopped coming. Amri, they said like this: Miyema de Misramilan. See, to wake up early for a chance, that's very difficult. See, a lot of times people come to shul at night, maybe there's going to be a Fabrengen. Okay, no Fabrengen, they go home. But to come to shul in the morning, maybe there's going to be a daf shir. That's a little more difficult. No, but it has to do with food or morning. But let's say the variables are not all the same. So to wake up in the morning for a lot, to maybe there's going to be a lottery, maybe you're going to win the lottery. That's not so simple. So no, the stakes are higher here because if you're going to get the Trumas Hadeshen, you'll also get something else. Oh, they made it more of an incentive. They didn't raise the odds, but they made it more of an incentive. The nice even if I said that more people should show up. Okay. So we learned the background to the lottery of the Trumas Hadeshen. And there's an interesting Tosfos here that the way the Gemara puts it is that there were two stages. At first, they were afraid no one was going to show up, but then a lot of people were showing up, so they made the lottery. Then it slowed down. Then people stopped showing up. So after it slowed down, so then they instituted that the guy that wins the Trumas Hadeshen also wins to set up the fire. So Tosfos asks, how do you know that was two stages? Maybe they could have understood right away that if they're going to institute a lottery, then they should have realized that people aren't going to show up, and they should immediately put into it those things at the same time. Why do you have to say shtei takanas, that there were two stages here? So Tosfos answers that it doesn't mean that there are actually two stages, that it was two stages in time. He says there were two takanas but they actually instituted right away. Right away, when they instituted the lottery, they right away instated that the person that's going to win the lottery of the Trumas Hadeshen will also get. That's why will also get the Sidar Amaracha or Shnei Gizreitzim. Okay.
But the race, they were willing. They had a chance in the lottery and they had a chance in the race. It seems like the race.
The race they stopped not because of people showing up. The race, that was because of dangers.
But they instituted the laws after the race, right?
Right.
And people stopped showing up because of the lottery because they thought maybe they didn't have such a good chance of winning. But for the race too, that's a good chance.
Yeah. I think in the race, I think maybe the answer is because it's totally up to you. You feel that I can do this. What is that? Yeah, the fast guys stopped coming. Yeah, my students they play pool. They have a pool table and they get addicted to it. I think the reason why they get addicted to it is because it looks so easy. It's like I could for sure do this. Then when you try it, it's not as simple as it. But that it looks like you right over there. You just put the thing is laugh, but it's like that. It's so simple. It's got to be able to make it. Those basketball things. So why is it gonna miss? It's for sure gonna. Okay. Ubizman Shem Merubin. When there were a lot of people, then they would run up the ramp. Amar of Papa. Papa says, Pshitli Arba Amis the Aralai. I'm not sure if I got this correct. This is the way I understand this. I didn't look in the other commentaries. It's obvious that they didn't start the race on the ground. When it says that whoever came first on the 4 Amos wins, that's obviously not 4 Amos on the ground, because Ratzon Vaylam Bakevish, they were running up the ramp. So it's obviously somewhere up the ramp. Ratzon Vaylam Bakevish Tanan. Kamaisan Amilai. It can't be the first 4 Amos. Ratzon Vaylam Bakevish Tanan. Because they're running up. Let's say whoever reaches the first 4 Amos, that would be like a little sprint. No, that's not even going up the ramp. And someone has to come first, the Beni Namilai. It can't be anywhere in the middle, because the Laimasaim and Milsa. Which 4 Amos in the middle? Some random 4 Amos, whoever comes to 4 Amos from what? So it must be Pshitali the Gabi Mizbeach tonight. It's obvious that when it says whoever comes within the 4 Amos, it means 4 Amos from the altar. From up the ramp, 4 Amos from the top. They didn't actually make it onto the top.
4 Amos from the top, 4 Amos from the beginning.
So we said it's obviously not the beginning, because it says they're going up the ramp. So it has to be 4 Amos from the top of the ramp. And it can't be 4 Amos anywhere in the middle, because there was no demarcation in the middle to count 4 Amos from. So it must be 4 Amos from the top. However, Rav Papa asked, now here's the problem. Yeah, let's do it like this. Let's see if you can see this. The way the Mizbeach is that it had like steps, because there was the foundation, then there was the soivev, then there was the top. So the ramp actually went over it like this. So the top of the ramp was slightly longer than the bottom of the ramp, because it didn't. The Mizbeach was protruding on the bottom by 1 amma, that's the side, protruding another amma of the soivev, and then here was the top, the surface. So Rav Papa's question is, when it says 4 Amos, are you counting from the base or are you counting from the top? It's a 2 Amma difference there. I would assume it's from the top, because otherwise you'd have to have an imaginary line going up. So, is it besides for the Amma, which means 6 Ammas? Maybe it has to be 6 Ammas from the top, which would be not counting the Amma Yisayid, the Amma Sevid. Says Teku. Leaves it as a question. Okay. If it was equal, the person in charge said, Hitzbiya, put out the finger. Tana was taught in a brayso, put out your fingers to be counted. Why don't you just count the people? You pick a number, and then you start from any random person, and then you just count. So, like ini, mini, mani, mo. So the Gemara says, Messiah Rabbi Yitzchak. This is a support for what Rabbi Yitzchak says. Rabbi Yitzchak asal limneses Yisrael apil bar mitzvah. You're not allowed to count the Jewish people. The ksiv vayifkedeim babazek. Bazek means a shard. He counted them. Shaul counted the people. He was going to war. He counted them with the bazek, with a pottery shard. Counted the pottery shards. Every soldier took a pottery shard. They dropped it into a bucket, and then they counted how many there were. The way they voted in Rome. They used these little. They had 2 baskets, and they used the shard. They put it in. It was all fake. The count. They had to be recounts. Maskefla Ravashi. You throw it in hard. You get 2 pieces. Ravashi asked the question: how do you know that bazik means a pottery shard? Dilma shema de masahu kediksiv yimtza adeni bazik. There's the nobles of Bazik found him. There's a place called Bazik. So how do you know? Vayifkedeim ba Bazik. He counted them. Ba, the bays is with. The bays could be in. Bays, the prefix bays could be in or with, right? Ba Bazik. He counted them in Bazik. And who did he count? He counted the people. How do you know he counted with pottery shards? Maybe he counted the people themselves in the city of Bazik. Kumar says, no, we have another source. El Mehacha. The other source is V'yishma Shalas Ha'am V'yifkedeim Batloim. He now counts the people with sheep. This is before the battle with Amalek. He tells them each to take one of his sheep and to put it into a room, into the pen, and he counted the sheep. So each soldier took a sheep, and that's how we knew how many there were. Amar Rabbi Lazar, Kalamaynas Yisrael Eiver Balav. Anyone that counts Rabbi Lazar says anyone that counts the Jewish people violates a negative commandment. The number of the Jewish people will be like the sand of the sea that will not be counted. But he's translating that will not be counted means that should not be counted. That shall not be counted, right? Shall not. Right. Okay. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar over b'shnei lavan. Shenemar lo yimad v'lo yisafer. Shall not be numbered and shall not be counted. Two prohibitions. Yeah, it's from Hosea. It's not in the Torah. But Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani, Rabbi Yonasan Rami. Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani quotes from Rabbi Yonasan. He says that Rabbi Yonasan made a contradiction between the verses. One verse says that the beginning of the verse, that the number of the Jewish people will be like the sand of the sea. Another verse says that will not be counted. It will not be numbered, not be counted. Well, what is it? Is it like the sand of the sea? Or is it not counted? The sand of the sea has a number. It's like just quite difficult. But not counted, not being counted means infinite. The Gemara says like Kasha. Kam b'zman Yisrael oisim ritzon shel makom. Kam b'zman she'ein oisim ritzon shel makom. It depends. If the Jewish people are fulfilling the will of Hashem, then they're infinite. They're not fulfilling the will of Hashem, then it's just like the sand of the sea. Rabbi Omar, Mishum Abi Yosef ben Destoy like Kasha. Rabbi has his own teretz. Or maybe it's Ravasi, there's another version. Ravasi says that like Kasha. Can be the Adam, can be the Shemaim. It depends who's counting. The people cannot count it, but Hashem can count it. So it depends from who's the Jewish people will be like the sand of the sea. That's for Hashem that can count it, but the people will not be able to count it. Amar Rav Nehilai bar Idi Amar Shmuel. Kiven shenisman adam panas al tzibur misasha. Rav Nilai Bar Idi says in the name of Shmuel that if you take a look at the two countings that we have from Shaul, you'll notice that the first one was with a pottery shard. We're accepting that pshat, no? That it was a pottery shard. And the second one was with sheep. He says, based on this, once a person is appointed as in a position, authority position, he gets wealthy.
And that was the origin of Pottery Barn.
Dr. Stein says that's the origin of Pottery Barn.
With sheep. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How would these opinions explain the countings in the Chumash?
Over there they say, that you weren't allowed to count. In the Chumash, we have that you're not allowed to count by the egel, right? It says kisisa. You have to use half the shekel. We would have to say that there's two possibilities here. I mean, it's not. One possibility is that over there they sinned by the egel, and as atonement for the egel, they needed to use a half a shekel. Now, the counting
Was the shekel?
After that sin was the half a shekel. Other possibility is that no, they were using other things to count. The half a shekel was not specific. Could use other things as well to count, as long as it's not the person themselves.
And the counting when, say, the Yidden came into Mitzrayim. There are several countings. Countings. Maybe the answer is those countings, and maybe this explains why sometimes they just end in zeros. Maybe the counting was given by a Kodesh Baruch Hu. The Jews didn't actually do the counting. Because sometimes you read it and you say, how did these all end in round numbers?
Right. I forget. I think I saw the Teretz Mima writes that they rounded it off. I think I saw that somewhere. Yeah. No, you could think that, but then for someone to write it, that was the surprising thing. Yeah.
They say a manager appointed leader of the community becomes wealthy, something gets done with his year, something gets like, speaking like, opinions and stuff. I'm not going to tell you.
There's a lot of ways. Yeah, sometimes because they go around speaking. But talking about how they get wealthy when they're appointed. Yeah. Okay, so Mikara Ksiv Vayifkedim Babasik, but Seif Ksiv Vayifkedim Batloim. Afterwards, they were counted with sheep. Starts with pottery shards and they're counted with sheep. Vidilma Miditu. Maybe it was their own sheep. How do you know it came from Shaul? Zim came Myra Busa Dimasa. What's the Chiddush? Obviously, it was the sheep of Shaul. Bayirav, Banachal. They fought in the valley. This is about the battle with Amalek, with Shaul. Amar of Mani Aliski Nachal. It means matters of the valley, of the river valley. When Hashem tells Shaul, go and smite Amalek. Amar Shaul says like this. The word Nachal is a valley, is also associated with the Egla Rufa. Egla Rufa, when a body was found in between cities, so they would take the calf. The elders of the city would take this calf. They would go down to the valley and they would break the neck of the calf. We say our hands did not spill this blood of the person that died. So Shaul is using this. He's saying, I'm going to kill all of these men, women, and children of Amalek, or rather, he says, women, children, and sheep. I'm going to kill. If one person dies, you have to bring an Egla Rufa. Look at all these innocent people. What did the animals sin? If the adults sinned, what did the children sin? A heavenly voice comes out and says, "Don't be so righteous."
That happens to me every day. Don't be so righteous.
Yeah, what's the pshat over here? Shal, it seems like he's making a big mistake. Well, it was a big mistake. He lost the
Lost in shit.
yeah. Shal Shamalay Shal the Dayeg. When Shal tells the Dayeg, "Save Ato Paga B'Kainim, go, you and kill the Kainim of Noiv." Noiv had supported David, and not knowing that David was running away from Shaul, they thought he was an important person by Shaul. So, Yatzabaskal Vamrlay Altir Shahabi. At that point, a heavenly voice comes out and says, "Don't be so wicked." Amar Rav Huna. Rav Huna says, "Kama lecholi v'lei margish gavra demare sayed." How much he didn't realize that the Eibishter was helping him. Or someone that the Eibishter helps does not need to be concerned about anything. I guess what he means is that he's going to make a contrast between Shaul and David, and he's saying that David didn't need to be concerned about anything because Hashem was helping him. Shaul be'achas v'osalai, David b'shtayim v'lei osalai. Shaul did one crime, and that affected his kingdom. David did two crimes, and it didn't affect him. Shaul be'achas maihi, what was Shaul's crime? Ma'aseh da'agag. Just one story, Agag. Agag is the king of Amalek. He committed that one crime. He didn't kill the women, children, and sheep. Why are you saying there's only one sin? He had another sin. He had the city of the Kayanim killed out. That's two sins. The Gemara says, the sin of Agag was before the city of Noiv. And at that point, Hashem had already said, "I regret making Shaul a king." That means he lost the kingdom already before he did the second crime. That was just the icing on the cake. But that didn't have to do with he already lost it first.
But there was another one also.
What was the other one?
He didn't wait for Shmuel to do the sacrifice. People were getting antsy before war, and Shmuel was supposed to come and do the sacrifice, and he just did it anyway without Shmuel. And he was kind of given a second chance after that one.
Thank you, Daniel. I was going to say it also. Thank you.
When did that happen? Was that before all of this?
Yeah, I think it was before the one with Amalek. I'll try to find it. Yeah.
Maybe it's connecting it. It was at the war of Amalek?
It was a previous war.
Oh. I don't know.
That's the same question. What's in the word of this thing?
I never understand how Hashem has Mechanti. Hashem knows what he's doing. The years of the Mechanti, he has to.
Right.
You know, in several situations where he said, "I'm sorry, every difference." I can understand weeping. I mean, God really wants to.
Oh, cool. That's the
I just.
Yeah, get Dr. Stein.
I mean, it's not setting you up for choosing between good and
Right.
bad.
Oh,
He's the one who did it with big age.
big H. Oh,
Right.
boy.
Stop it.
Dr. Stein is asking how Hashem could say Nichamti.
Micham.
If he knows everything, how does he say Nichamti?
Daniel, you want to take this one?
Same one like Noach.
Yeah, but that's he's asking. My Nayach also.
It's the same answer.
Oh, the answer I didn't give. I just
No, I'm saying
gave
this,
another
it's the
problem.
same answer about Noach that the guy asked. How could a Debeshter say Nichamti Kiasisim, about with Noach? And
Okay.
he answered, didn't you have a child? And do you know that when he was born, he was going to die anyway?
Uh-huh.
B'shata shata. There's times to be happy, time to be sad.
Uh-huh.
Look at the phone.
Where does it say that? Is that a Gemara?
Yeah.
That someone had a child?
I think it's Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
No, if I'm not mistaken, it was a Roman that was asking one of the. I'm not good with names.
Oh yeah. There was something like that. He said, if you knew that the child was going to die, would you want to have the child anyway?
Right.
And he said yes.
No, so he said, why were you happy when he was born? Didn't you know that he was going to die? At the end, he says, Beshata, there was times to be happy, and then there was times to be sad.
Uh-huh. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Okay, now David Bishtayim, David had two sins. What are those two sins? The Uriah, Uda Hasata. Hashem, Nasam, Hashem, Laka.
If you knew that they would die, would you have had that idea?
Uh-huh.
Then Maria said that to let him know that children have died.
Uh-huh. I thought she told him that someone gave us a gift and now wants it back. He gave us a deposit. Okay, so the two sins of David were Uriah and the fact that he counted. He was convinced to count the people. By Uriah, he sent him to the front lines to be killed. The Gemara asks, I'm not sure why this is. Uriah was the husband of Bathsheba. Now, David had lived with Bathsheba, which was sort of a sin. I mean, we're not supposed to say that was a sin because really there was a get that was given because he went to battle. But that was considered a sin, and David acknowledged that. But then there was also the fact that he sent Uriah to the front lines to be killed. That was also considered a sin. So we're dividing it up. So Hassam, over there, he was punished. Diksiv, Vesakavsi Yishalim, Arbasim. Arbasim? I don't have the vowels here. What happened was Nassan Navi comes in to David and he tells him a story that there's a rich man that has a guest and he wants to serve him. So he goes to his neighbor, the poor man, and he takes his only calf that he has and he slaughters it to serve his guest. What should he do? So David gets angry. He says, what? He should be killed and he should have to pay 4 times what he did for stealing and slaughtering the thing. So Nassan says, that was just an example. I was referring to you. So because you have all these wives, David had all these wives. He was a king. He was allowed to have 18 wives. And then he went and he takes the one wife of Uriah, Bathsheba, for himself. So what happens then? He has to pay 4 times. So he loses the child that he has. Bathsheba became pregnant. He loses the child. That's the Yeled. Amnon gets killed by Avshalom, right? And Tamar is raped by Amnon, and then Avshalom is killed. So those are these 4 children that died because of what he did. So the Gemara says, okay, well, Hasam Nami Afriyaminei. He also got punished over there. He also got punished over there. 70,000 people died when he counted the Jewish people. That's quite a punishment. So why are you saying that he did 2 sins? And you don't count the 3rd one because there was a punishment for that. One of the 2 that you counted also had a punishment. So that wasn't himself. That was from the nation. 70,000 people died, but it wasn't a personal punishment. When it says over there also he wasn't punished from his body. Le'iye ifriyu migufei. Actually, he was. I guess lying means yes, he was. He was punished from his body. Dam Rav Yehuda Marav. Rav Yehuda says name of Rav. Shisha Chadashim Mitzvah David. He got leprosy for 6 months. Uparshim in the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin separated when the Stalkim in the Shechina. And the Shechina left him. The Ksiv Yeshuvali Yerecha V'Yedei Desecha. The Ksiv Hashivali Sasin Yeshecha. Okay. So he wants it to return. Because what was this a punishment for? For the census. This was a punishment for so that's a problem. So then why did we count it?
It was for Bathsheba.
Oh, so for Bathsheba he got a punishment. For Bathsheba he got this punishment. That's right, but the sin of Bathsheba wasn't counted. But Amar Rav, Kibel David Lashon Hara, he did another sin. David accepted Lashon Hara. Where was the Lashon Hara? This is by Mephibosheth. What happened was David had given Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth was a son of Shaul, right? Was that the youngest son of Shaul? And because of his pledge to Yonasan, he had left Mephibosheth. Was Mephibosheth the son of Yonasan or Shaul? He had left the territory of Shaul to Mephibosheth.
Mephibosheth was the son of
Yonasan, the son of Yonasan. So because David had made a promise to Yonasan, so he left the territory of Shaul to Mephibosheth. Then there was Tziva had come to, I forget, Tziva comes to, was it like a caretaker or something of Mephibosheth, and he comes and he tells some Lashon Hara to David about Mephibosheth. So David says that, okay, you know what? After the battle of whatever, you'll get the property of Mephibosheth. Because Mephibosheth apparently, according to Tziva, was rebelling against David. So the question is, according to Rav, David accepted that Lashon Hara. So the Gemara answers, well, we don't have to follow that. We can just say Kishmo. You see, all of this is Rav Huna. Rav Huna is saying that David didn't lose the kingdom because of 2 sins. We're asking 1 second, he had a 3rd sin. So, well, Rav Huna can follow Shmuel. Damar like Kibel David Lashon Hara. That says David did not accept that Lashon Hara. Rav Nami Damar Kibel David Lashon Hara. And if you want, we can also follow Rav. But how do we resolve this? If there were 3 sins, why did he only count 2? So it says because he got a personal punishment for that. David was personally punished by this as well. His personal punishment was that as soon as he told Mephibosheth that you and Siva will now have to split the property, because he's giving his possessions to Siva because he was accepting Lashon Hara, a heavenly voice comes out and says, okay, your territory also will be divided by Rechavam, your grandson, and Yeravam, which is the rival territory in the north. They'll split that as well. Okay, let's leave the Gemara. Let's leave it here for today.
David still considered the greatest king we ever had or not? Because I'm not very